At 6:42 a.m. on July 19th, 2020, a neighbor on Willow Creek Drive stepped outside to warm up his car. It was a Monday morning like any other, quiet and pale with the first hint of sunrise. He expected to hear sprinklers and maybe a few birds. Instead, he heard a faint whisper so soft he almost mistook it for wind. He listened closer. It was a woman's voice, fragile and strained, calling for help. He followed the sound toward the edge of a gravel driveway. And there, lying on her side, bleeding into the stones, struggling to breathe, was 1-year-old Hannah Pierce. She had been shot 3 times, yet she was conscious, still fighting, still trying to speak. And the name she tried to say over and over through blood, shock, and collapsing lungs was her ex-boyfriend's. The same man police had told her was unlikely to return. The same man she had finally gathered the courage to leave just 8 days earlier. The same man she thought she had escaped from, but she was wrong. To understand the horror of this moment and the tragedy that led to it, we have to understand who Hannah was long before July 19th changed her life forever. Hannah was born on March 14th, 1990, in Cedar Hill, Missouri. She was the second of 3 children, the one her family called Sunbeam because she hated seeing people upset. Her mother, Diane, said she had this way of walking into a room and making everyone feel lighter, like she was carrying sunshine with her. Her brother, Michael, remembered her differently but just as vividly. She was tiny, he said, 5'2", but strong as hell. She hiked, she boxed, and she would push through anything. Hannah worked as a veterinary technician at Maple Ridge Animal Clinic. She loved animals, loved calming, anxious dogs, loved being part of a team that felt like family. Her co-worker, Nia, said she was the kind of person who always checked on you. Even if she was having a bad day, she wanted to make sure you were okay. Her life was steady, warm, and full of purpose. But everything shifted the day she met someone who looked at her kindness not with appreciation, but with opportunity. Hannah met Evan Maddox on November 9th, 2020, a rainy Monday morning. He brought in a German Shepherd named Ranger, claiming the dog had been limping. Hannah checked the dog in. Evan was charming, too charming. He smiled easily, made jokes about the weather, complimented her calm voice. At first, it all felt innocent. He told her he had just moved to Cedar Hill and worked construction. He didn't mention that he had left Arkansas abruptly. He didn't mention his last relationship. And he certainly didn't mention the restraining order filed against him in 2018, because at that point, no one knew, not even Hannah. 2 weeks later, Evan asked her out. Their first date was at Copper Lantern Diner on December 1st. Hannah had been single for almost a year. She felt ready, cautious, but open. The date went well. Evan listened. He seemed thoughtful, attentive, almost too attentive. He texted her constantly afterward, brought her flowers, surprised her with lunch. But the first red flag came quickly on December 14th, when Hannah didn't reply to his text for 2 hours because she was finishing a busy shift at the clinic. Instead of waiting patiently, Evan drove to her workplace. He strode past the front counter and into the back hallway. He said, "I thought something happened. Why weren't you answering me?" Nia recalled. It wasn't normal. Hannah brushed it off, telling friends he was just protective. But that word would take on a much darker meaning in the months ahead. The second red flag came on Christmas Eve. Hannah planned to spend the holiday with her family. It was their tradition, matching pajamas, gingerbread cookies, her dad's terrible Christmas movies. Evan insisted on coming. She gently told him no. They had only been dating 3 weeks. He sulked, argued, sent her multiple long texts saying she was abandoning him on the hardest holiday of his year. Still, Hannah stayed in the relationship because she was someone who tried to fix people, tried to help, tried to give everyone the benefit of the doubt even when she shouldn't. January 2021 brought the perfect storm. Evan was laid off from his construction job. Hannah, with her soft heart, tried to help. Groceries, gas money, small kindnesses. But instead of gratitude, Evan grew possessive. He didn't want her hanging out with coworkers, didn't want her visiting her parents so often. didn't want her texting male clients from the clinic. By February, he was checking her phone. By March, he was waiting outside the clinic every night. When she confronted him, he claimed he was just making sure she was safe. Things escalated on April 12th during an argument after Evan had been drinking. He smashed a glass against the wall. He didn't hit her, but he didn't have to. He told her with cold seriousness, "If you ever leave me, I'll break you before anyone else can have you." Hannah didn't tell anyone, not her family, not her friends. But she wrote the sentence in her journal. Detectives would find it months later. By July, Hannah was emotionally exhausted. She wanted out, wanted peace, wanted her life back. On the evening of July 11th, at 6:18 p.m., she told Evan she was done. They were in her living room. She expected yelling, maybe begging, maybe anger, but Evan was eerily calm. He simply said, "Okay, if that's what you want." Then he left without another word. Hannah felt like she could finally breathe again. But while she celebrated her freedom internally, Evan went home and searched her location. On an old phone, he still had access to a phone she had forgotten she logged into long before. He saw where she lived, where she worked. He saw her morning routine in real time, and he began planning. July 19th, 2021. The morning, everything changed. Hannah woke up at 5:10 a.m., fed her cat, made coffee, packed her lunch, and got ready for work. She left her house at 6:31 a.m., wearing gray scrubs and her clinic badge. She didn't know Evan had been parked across the street since 4:45 a.m. His engine off, headlights off, gun in his glove compartment. A neighbor's security camera, mounted high on the garage, accidentally picked up the audio of their encounter. Not the video, just the sound. You hear footsteps, a soft car door closing. Then Evan's voice saying, "We're going to talk." Hannah replies, her voice firm but anxious. "No, please, just leave." He steps closer. Hannah tries to walk past him. There's a sound, a scuffle, gravel shifting. Evan grabs her arm. She pulls away. Then 3 shots ring out, sharp and close. 2 shots strike her abdomen. 1 strikes her lower chest. She collapses backward onto the gravel. Evan stands over her for a moment. Witnesses said he didn't speak, didn't kneel, didn't check if she was alive. He simply turned and ran back to his car. At 6:41 a.m., he drove away. 1 minute later, the neighbor found her. Despite her wounds, Hannah was conscious enough to whisper a name. Evan. It was Evan. The police issued a bolo by 7:03 a.m. Evan's phone was off. His car was missing. But at 6:57 a.m., he had been caught on surveillance at Oak Valley gas station, buying gas with shaking hands and a stained shirt. At 8:20 a.m., detectives searched his apartment, finding evidence he had left in a rush. Scattered clothes, a half-written apology letter, a missing .380 pistol, and most chilling of all, a printed Google Maps route to Hannah's street. Detective Marcus Rowe later said, "The moment we saw that map, we knew he wasn't acting on impulse. He planned this." The manhunt lasted 10 hours. At 4:43 p.m., police found his Subaru behind an abandoned barn off Highway 17. Evan was inside, holding the gun to his own head. After 15 tense minutes, he surrendered. As detectives dug deeper into Evan's past, disturbing patterns emerged. In 2018, his ex-girlfriend in Little Rock had filed a restraining order, claiming he stalked her for months. In 2016, another girlfriend reported that he punched a hole in her wall. In 2013, a former roommate accused him of stealing her phone to monitor her messages. None of these cases resulted in charges. No one ever connected the dots. Until Hannah. The trial began on March 4th, 2022, in Jefferson County Circuit Court. Evan was charged with first-degree assault, attempted first-degree murder, aggravated stalking, and possession of a firearm during a felony. Hannah testified in person. She walked slowly, still healing, each step a reminder of what she survived. Her testimony lasted 2 hours. She described the arguments, the threats, the fear, the breakup, and the morning he returned. At one moment, her voice shook as she said, "I thought leaving would make everything stop. I didn't know it was the most dangerous thing I could do." Her mother cried quietly in the front row. Evan remained expressionless. On March 28th, after 6 hours of deliberation, the jury found him guilty on all counts. The judge sentenced him to 46 years in prison, with no chance of early release. Evan showed no reaction. He did not apologize. He did not look at Hannah. Hannah survived her injuries, but her life was forever altered. She moved in with her sister, focused on healing, worked through trauma therapy, and tried to rebuild herself piece by piece. But she didn't stop there. On October 12, 2022, she founded the Pierce Promise Project, a nonprofit dedicated to helping people safely leave controlling partners. The organization provides safety planning, emergency relocation, protective order guidance, and education about early warning signs. Hannah now travels across the Midwest, speaking at domestic violence conferences and community centers. Her message is simple: leaving is brave, but you shouldn't have to leave alone. Hannah did everything she could. She tried to love, she tried to leave, she tried to survive, and she did. But not everyone gets that chance. So if you or someone you know is trapped in a controlling or unsafe relationship, please reach out. Talk to someone. Make a plan. Take every red flag seriously. And if Hannah's story moved you, if you want more stories that expose the warning signs, the patterns, and the truths so many people miss, leave a comment, like the video, and subscribe. Because telling these stories may be the very thing that saves someone.